Browns QB Shedeur Sanders nixed Ravens' attempt to draft him, report says. Cleveland Browns rookie quarterback Shedeur Sanders almost ended up with one of their AFC North rivals in the 2025 NFL Draft. ESPN's Adam Schefter reported Sunday that the Baltimore Ravens, Cleveland's Week 2 opponent, wanted to draft Sanders in the 5th round. When Sanders heard about the Ravens' plan to draft him, he requested that they didn't, Schefter reports. Sanders reportedly cited Baltimore's starting quarterback, two-time MVP Lamar Jackson, as a reason he wished to go elsewhere. Given Jackson's success, Sanders knew he would not have a real chance to compete for the starting job in the first few years of his career. The Ravens selected offensive tackle Carson Vinson with the number 141 overall pick instead, and Sanders landed with the Browns 3 picks later, after Cleveland traded up to number 144. As of Week 2 of his rookie season, Sanders is listed as the number 3 quarterback on the Browns roster. Veteran Joe Flacco remains the starter, and fellow rookie and third-round pick Dillon Gabriel is QB2. Who is the Ravens' backup quarterback now if it isn't Sanders? Shedeur Sanders. Why isn't the rookie starting? How Browns' QB depth chart stacks up. Jackson is the Ravens' two-time MVP starting quarterback and widely considered one of the best at his position in the NFL. He signed a 5-year, $260 million contract extension with Baltimore in 2023 to keep him with the Ravens through 2027. Rush spent the last 4 years in a second stint with the Dallas Cowboys as Dak Prescott's backup quarterback. He signed a 2-year, $6.2 million deal with the Ravens this offseason that could be worth over $12 million with incentives. Rush is the only other quarterback on Baltimore's active roster, though the team also has Huntley back on its practice squad for a third stint after he spent part of training camp with the Browns. Huntley previously backed up Jackson in Baltimore between 2020 and 2023. He was named to his first Pro Bowl appearance in 2022. The NFL Draft has always been a chessboard, a stage where teams scheme, maneuver, and gamble in hopes of landing the next generational talent. But sometimes, it's the players themselves who flip the board. That was the case, according to a report that shook the league. Shedeur Sanders, the charismatic quarterback out of Colorado and son of NFL Hall of Famer Deion Sanders, nixed an attempt by the Baltimore Ravens to draft him. Instead, Sanders steered himself toward Cleveland, where he is now at the heart of the Browns' future. It was a decision that wasn't just about football, it was about control, legacy, and vision. This is the story of how one rookie quarterback flexed his influence in the most powerful league in American sports, why the Ravens brass felt snubbed, and how Cleveland ended up with the boldest new voice under center. The Draft Day Theater. The 2025 NFL Draft was already electric. The top prospects included Shedeur Sanders, USC's Caleb Williams, and Georgia's Brock Bowers. Analysts buzzed about Sanders' poise, precision, and pedigree. He had been projected anywhere from the number 2 overall pick to a late first-rounder, depending on how teams weighed his upside against other positional needs. But whispers had begun to circulate in league circles. Shedeur was not going to play for just any franchise. ESPN insiders hinted that Sanders' camp had laid down quiet ultimatums to certain teams. One of those, it turned out, was Baltimore. The Ravens, perennial contenders built around Lamar Jackson, were intrigued by Sanders as a long-term investment. With Jackson nearing the middle of his career, Baltimore wanted an heir apparent who could someday keep their Super Bowl window wide open. The front office reportedly drew up scenarios to draft Sanders in the later first round, positioning him as a successor in waiting. But when draft night came, Baltimore's plans unraveled. "I'm not going to sit behind anybody." According to reports, Shedeur Sanders made it clear in private conversations with league insiders that he would refuse to play for Baltimore. His reasoning was simple and uncompromising. He was not going to spend his rookie contract backing up Lamar Jackson. Shedeur didn't want to sit, an anonymous agent told The Athletic. He believed he was ready to be a starter day one. And he wasn't going to Baltimore just to hold a clipboard. Sanders himself had hinted at this philosophy months before the draft. In an interview, he said, "I'm not built to wait. I prepare like a starter, I lead like a starter. If a team wants me, they better want me to play." That mentality drew admiration from some executives and rolled eyes from others. But in Cleveland, it rang like music. Baltimore's side of the story. For the Ravens, the rejection stung. Sources suggested Baltimore had lined up a trade package to move up into the mid-first round to select Sanders, hoping to sell him on the idea of sitting behind Jackson for 2 to 3 years before taking the reins. Head coach John Harbaugh, known for his steady leadership, reportedly lobbied for patience. Jackson had battled injuries in recent seasons, and Harbaugh liked the idea of having an NFL-ready backup who could step in at a moment's notice. But Shedeur's camp sent clear signals. If Baltimore pulled the trigger, he wouldn't report. At best, he'd hold out. At worst, he'd demand a trade. Faced with the risk of wasting a premium pick on a player unwilling to wear purple and black, the Ravens pivoted. Their front office was forced to scrap the plan and focus elsewhere. Still, the fallout lingered. Baltimore insiders described Sanders' move as brazen and unprecedented. While players occasionally maneuver to avoid certain franchises, think John Elway with the Colts in 1983 or Eli Manning with the Chargers in 2004, it was rare for a mid-first-round quarterback to outmaneuver a stable, winning organization like Baltimore. Cleveland opens the door. While the Ravens regrouped, the Cleveland Browns seized the opportunity. Their quarterback room had been a revolving door of uncertainty for years. Joe Flacco, who had briefly resurrected his career, was never the long-term answer. The city was hungry for stability, for a leader who could carry them beyond flashes of competitiveness into sustained contention. General Manager Andrew Berry saw Sanders as that figure. The Browns did their homework, meeting privately with Shedeur and his father, Dion. What they found wasn't just a player. They found a brand, a voice, a leader unafraid of expectations. Shedeur told us straight up, "I want to be the face of your franchise," one Browns executive revealed. That's not arrogance, it's vision. When Cleveland submitted the card with Sanders' name, the crowd erupted. For the first time in decades, Browns fans felt they had a quarterback who wasn't just a stopgap but the cornerstone. Dion's influence. Behind the scenes, Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, played a critical role. Having navigated the NFL's unforgiving machine himself, Dion understood the value of leverage. He advised his son to think beyond the draft slot and the rookie contract. "Shedeur doesn't need to take just any situation," Dion told NFL Network before the draft. "He needs the right situation. A team that believes in him, that gives him the ball, that lets him lead. That's how you succeed in this league." Some critics bristled at the influence. They called it meddling, even entitled. But Dion had been here before.